Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To all of our viewers, Alhamdulillah, I'm joined by a very special guest and a good friend of mine, Mufti Samir Wahid. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti Sab. How are you doing today?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Mufti Sab was not feeling that well earlier today, but Alhamdulillah, he's made some time for us to cover this important topic today. A little bit about Mufti Sab. Mufti Sab is a very old friend of mine. We're not that old, but we've known each other for over half our lives now. Alhamdulillah, he runs the Islamic Institute of Atlanta, which is a school which he founded. And he's also the founder of Najm Institute, which is an overall institute. They do online programs and they do in-person programs for youth and many different, sectors of the Muslim community in Atlanta. Alhamdulillah. So Alhamdulillah, since the time he finished and graduated in Atlanta, I mean from Chatham, he graduated from Darul Uloom Madaniya in Chatham. Alhamdulillah, from that time, he's been actively, participating and actively trying to get the youth movement and other such, efforts going on in Atlanta. So Jazakallah khair, Mufti Sahib. Is there anything I left out?
I don't think so. I think you did too much, but Alhamdulillah.
So today, Mufti Sahib, we're talking about. I know on the flyer I put, uh, the way I put it, it sounds like a sort of a discouraging topic, but it's not a singular topic. It's a multifaceted topic. I feel where the society we come from and the culture we come from, a lot of times it doesn't encourage positive reinforcement. A lot of times the way we're encouraged is by negativity. Am I correct to make that assessment?
No, no, I think you're right on point. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. But what's it called? But one of the things about it is which we're as younger guys ourselves who grew up, who were born here, raised here, grew up over here, we're trying to encourage our Muslim youth to get more involved in our religious activities and get involved overall in the religious environment. And it can't be done as easily by negativity as it can be by positivity.
I agree. Um, so my
So go ahead.
my thoughts on this is first of all, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Assalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Amma ba'd. First of all, Jazakallah khair for inviting me. I think it's a very important topic, and unfortunately, I deal with it a lot too. So it's a very touchy topic to me, and something that I hope that us and the ummah at large can improve and fix this, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So my thoughts on this, obviously, everything goes back to, I think about a few years ago, I gave a lecture on parenting, and even though society plays a huge role in this, I think parents are the first people who play the biggest and most important role, actually. And the reason is that if I want to do something, or you want to do something, or a youngster wants to do something, generally, depending on the age, the first people we tell are our parents.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm thinking about doing this. Dad, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you want to do? So I won't give my own example, but let's say if I want to do something, and my mom comes to me and says, "No, I don't think you're old enough to do it," or my dad says, "I don't think you're ready for this." To me, parents have to learn to word it right.
Yeah.
Okay, why are you thinking about doing this? How are you going to get to your goal? Why do you want to do it? What encouraged you, incited you to do it? So my first people I want to talk about is parents. Parents play a huge role in what the child is motivated to do. So a lot of times I have youngsters who come to me and they're maybe 16, 17, maybe young as 15, and they want to do something. And the reason they won't do it is because their mom and dad said they can't do it. Why can't they do it? Because you're not old enough yet. You're still a kid. You're still a bacha. We say abhi tak bacha hai. You're still a child.
Yeah, you're still a child.
It's a simple word to say. We're just chilling. We're just telling them. We just randomly say it. But that leaves a deep effect on a child. You don't know how long that son was thinking about it, how long that daughter was thinking about, I really wanted to do this. I'm excited. I want to tell my mom and dad. And I tell my mom and dad. My mom's like, No, you're not ready to do this. You're not old enough to do it. Go find something else to do. That right there, that's already the wrong method of responding to a child. You're hurting his emotions. You're hurting his mind. Right. The other day, a child told me that, you know, uh, I had a problem with hair, and I had too much hair on my body, and my parents would make fun of me. No, you are that person is gonna lose their some conscious and their confidence. Like,
Yeah.
you're the one they look up to. Mom, you're like the one I look up to. Dad, you're the one I look up to. So the first ones who cause the problem are the parents, and I think it's extremely important for parents. And I think when a few years ago, I met some college students who, when I met them, I'm like, you guys are like 20, 21, but you act like you're 13, 14. Like, you act like a child. And obviously the blame can be on that individual too. Okay, why is she 21, 22? Why is she 21, 22? Why is she taking so long to like grow up? But parents play a huge role in that, because parent will be like, no, you're still a kid, you just started driving, you don't know anything, you don't. But if you look at like Quran and Hadith, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, no, as soon as, or the Prophet is teaching that you hit puberty, you're an adult, you're liable and responsible for everything. You have to pray. It's not your mom's fault. It's not your dad's fault. It's your fault. You can't read Quran. It's your problem. You are now liable and responsible. So Islam makes you an adult at the age of puberty, and parents make their children adults when they feel like it. I know people that are married or maybe even have kids, but even then, the parents would treat them like they're still kids. No, he hasn't grown up yet. No, he hasn't grown up. You're the one who raised them. You raised her. How's he not grown up? So parents have to play, they have to play a supportive role. And the statement of Ali radiallahu anh comes to mind. As Ali radiallahu anh used to say, for 7 years, when a child is born, up to like 6, 7, play with that child, have fun with that child. Don't be so harsh on the child. Mess around with the child. Enjoy the time with the child. Right? And then when he reached 7, 8 to like 14, 7 to 14, that's the training. That's the true upbringing. Okay, tell them to pray salah, encourage them, incite them, and give them fadail about it, get them to pray. But at 14, I'm not talking about 21, 25. I'm not talking about when they're married. I'm not talking about when the daughter's pregnant and needs the mom's help, or the daughter's about to get married and she needs mom's help and guidance. No, I'm not talking about that. Ali radiallahu anh said, from 14, befriend that child. That's a powerful statement, because what is Ali radiallahu anh saying? Okay, before you can command that child, tell that child to do something, and the child's supposed to listen. Ali radiallahu anh saying, treat that child, your daughter, she's 14, 15, your son, he's 14, 15, treat him like you would treat a friend. So how do we treat friends? So if a friend comes to you and says, I'm thinking about doing this, what are you going to say to him? No, you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. No, you're not in that position to do that. I got your back. You need anything from me, I got you. Whatever I can think of, I'll advise you on that. Parents must take that role of being the advisor for the child before someone else takes that role. And generally, parents come to me when the child hits 15, 16, and now that 15, 16-year-old child doesn't listen to parents. So if a parent comes to me and says, my son needs help, or my daughter needs help, I'm like, okay, how old is he? How old is she? And they'll be like, he's 15, 16. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
That's generally when they come, when they haven't really helped them or positively reinforced them, and they say out of control, is because they're at the point where they're not going to listen to them anymore.
Exactly. So 15, 16, I tell him it's too late. Like, you had your chance, you had an opportunity, you should have told me before he was 15, 16. Now he thinks, or she thinks she or he has a mind of her own, or a mind of his own. Okay, not mom, dad, I know what I'm doing. I'm in high school. Like, I'm an adult now. Technically, I'm an adult, and I'm almost at 18. So parents play the biggest role, and the most important role in a child's upbringing, and when it comes to giving a child motivation. Your child wants to do something. Now, if you wanted your child to do something, what a parent should do is, their upbringing should be that. So if you want your child to become a doctor, for example, then keep encouraging, telling them things about doctors and what a doctor is, medical, whatever, that they automatically have the feeling internally of becoming a doctor. You want your child to memorize the Quran. You can't just like at like 14 or like 12, 13. Okay, my child's not doing good in public, so I might as well just make him a Quran Hafiz. Or I really want my children to become Hafiz. But you never gave them any guidance for the past 12 years when it came to Quran. You didn't read Fadail of Quran to them. You didn't read them virtues and merits of Quran. You didn't give them any guidance. You just said, yeah, I just want them to memorize Quran. That's not how it works. Parents gotta like encourage it, but when they reach 14, 15, they must be ready for what the child wants, and then give them support in that. A lot of youngsters, they come to me at 19, 20, and they're like, we don't know what we want to do in life. We don't know what we want to major in my opinion. When you hit like 16, 17, you should know what you're doing in life. That child should know what they want to do in life, and the parents should be a source of guidance in that. So in my opinion, parents play the biggest role, the most important role, and they should be the first ones to encourage that child in what they want to do.
Yeah.
I think that's where it starts.
So one of the things, like, there's basically how I feel about it is, or two of the areas I wanted you to address, and you gave a general idea. One is a lot of times the parents, they address their children, and my questions are going to be, first one is going to be on a basis of, like, general secular knowledge and stuff like that, and the other one is going to be based on religion. A lot of times parents, they try to encourage their kids to pursue a certain profession by negativity. Oh, if you don't become a doctor, if you don't become an engineer, or if you don't become this, you're going to be a bum for the rest of your life, which isn't true. We've seen it now that there's plenty of people who don't have degrees, who don't have anything, and they're most successful people on earth. Or they tell their kids, oh, in the matters of religion, it happens in a lot of households, unfortunately, where the child may want to become a hafiz or alim, and they're told that if you become a hafiz or alim or something like that, that you're going to be begging for the rest of your life. Nothing's going to become of you. You're not going to have a nice car to drive. You're not going to be able to feed your children when you have them, which isn't true. We know that. And then the other thing is the religious perspective, which I'm talking about, is when kids, they ask when the parents tell the kids, pray your salah or read your Quran. And it's not, since a young age, we've been reading the fadail of Quran and salah. And, when you read the fadail, you read the virtues, you see the positivity of it. But a lot of times people will be like, oh, if you don't pray the salah, if you don't read the Quran, you're going to get beaten in Jahannam and stuff like this, like the negativity. How can we encourage parents to be more positive in both of these aspects? One is the educational, and one is the general practices of our deen, of our religion.
Yeah, so when it comes to that, I mean, I agree. The parents should be expressing
And we're
love.
parents now. Both of us are parents now.
Exactly.
Alhamdulillah.
Um, I think as Muslims, as human beings, as Muslims, people who rely on Allah, we should always be positive. There should be no negativity in our own lives. As parents, it should be no negativity. Forget parents right now. As individuals,
Yeah.
there should be no negativity in life. As human beings, as Muslims, we are always positive. I mean, I mentioned this hadith last time too, where the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ajaban li amr al-mu'min inna amrahu kullahu khair." How astonishing, amazing is the situation of a believer. Inna amrahu kullahu khair. His matter in regards to everything is khair. In asabathu darra sabra fakana khairan lah. If something bad happens to him, he's patient, so that's good for him. And if something good happens to him, he's grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's good for him too. So if you look at our deen, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. We will not be given a responsibility of something we can't bear. We will never be overburdened. That's a promise of Allah. So, a brother came to me just today, and and he's like, yeah, I've been suffering from this. I don't know how to handle this situation. I've never been through this in my life, and I've always been relaxed and comfortable and stress-free. And I'm like, okay, let me ask you a question. Why were you stress-free? Because everything went your way, right? True meaning of being stress-free is when things don't go your way and you still relax.
Yeah.
But if everything's going your way, you got the car you want, you got the house you want, business is making money, that's easy. It's easy to be comfortable and living stress-free when everything is going your way. When things don't go your way, how do you still stay positive? How? In my personal opinion, remember everything is from Allah. What you're going through, Allah said you're the only one who can go through it and pass it. No one else can go through exactly what you're going through. This is your test, your task. This is for you as an individual. Allah created you. The body that Allah gave you, the mind Allah gave you, the heart Allah gave you is for you. You're the only one who's able to go through what you're going through. You're the only one. No one else can go through what you're going through. If an individual becomes positive, then he spreads positivity. So if the parent is negative, that means to an extent they are negative in their own lives. They're always thinking about the negativity. They're not thinking about what's positive. Okay, if my child doesn't want to become an engineer, what do you want to become? And a lot of times, we want our children to become things that will make them the richest. But what should be told to the child is do what you want to do, but we will give you guidance on how to survive in this world in terms of income, because we still have to financially make sure we support ourselves. It's not like we're just going to be down the street. So
Yeah.
but the child feels good doing that. Okay, so we're going to give you guidance in that. Because when we base everything around money, then that means we are only going to touch those subjects that you can make a lot of money. And so that means Islam might be out, studying history might be out, other things might be out because they don't make good money. Why are you studying that? Dad, why are you doing that? Mom, dad will be like, why are you doing? We have to spread positivity. My son, my daughter, you want to do this? I'm here for you. Let me know what you need from me. I'll start researching it for two. You start researching it. We'll put our brain together. We'll make it happen. But if the parent, the father tells the child, no, you can't do this. You shouldn't do it. Or you can't do it. That's the worst word to say to a child. You can't. Saying something that a child wants to him and saying to him or her that you can't do it is it's one of the biggest mistakes that we make as parents.
And
So
and to reiterate what you started off with, it's the words.
exactly.
Go ahead.
So what I was saying was that when you become positive yourself as an individual, then when you're always positive, you're always optimistic, things will be okay. Then you spread that optimism, you spread that positivity to your son, to your daughter. Now, if a child wants to do something and you didn't want your child to do it, the child wants to do something and you didn't want your child to do it, then when that child fails in what he or she wanted to do, the parents go and say, I told you not to do that. That's not the thing that parents should do. It's okay. It'll work out next time. We're going to figure it out. You're going to succeed on what you want to do. So parents can't just pretend to be supportive. They actually need to be supportive. So if the child fails in what he or she wanted to do, it's your job as a parent to pick them up, be like, try again. Try again. So as an individual, we need to be positive and let that positivity spread to the. Now what happens is, now let's say a child wants to do something and a parent maybe has an idea of how that thing works. I don't know. They read some Yahoo articles, they read some CNN, they search on Google, right? If a child wants to become a lawyer, okay, I know what lawyers are. I've dealt with lawyers before. I've done closing of properties. I've done this, that. So the parent will be like, do some Google research. Although I have 10 years of experience of dealing with lawyers. Now the child is going to go study it and research how to become a lawyer. But the parent wants the child to become a lawyer based off of his understanding on how to become a lawyer. As giving advice, that's okay. At the end of the day, we must train our children to make the decision on their own. Like that child needs to say, okay, this is what my mom said, this is what my dad said, this is their research. I need to go do my own research, talk to other lawyers that are actually in the field. Talk to lawyers, ask lawyers. Okay, how did you become a lawyer? What do you advise me to do? You know me, you know the situation, you became what I want to become. Can you give me guidance? But the father would be like, no, I've dealt with lawyers for like 10 years. I know how to do this. Parents got to pave the path for them and let them find their own path. Like, let them find their own guidance. And I think when we show support, that'll give confidence to a child. That child will be like, okay, I can do it. You know why I can do it? Because my dad said I can do it. My mom said I can do it. So that's when it comes to parents. Then we have the role of society. And I'm talking about generally the elders, because we're talking about the youth, being losing confidence. Then it comes to society. We, the elders of the masajid, the the elders of the community, they also have to support that child in what they want to do. That's a youngster of your community. We, instead of always saying children don't know what they're doing. The kids don't know what they're doing. These kids are always causing problems in the masjid. Because of that statement, there's a reason why the youngsters are no longer coming to the masjid. Because you told them that they're kids. What you should have told them is you're adults. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, I want to fight in the battle. I want to fight too. How old are you? I'm like 13, 14 now. You're not old enough. Ya Rasulullah, give me a chance. Okay. Fight him in a wrestling match. You win, I'll let you fight. So he gave him encouragement. Maybe next year you'll be able to do it. Not your child, you can't do it. No. Keep trying. You're going to be able to do it next year. Musab bin Umair radiallahu anh. Now imagine this. The likes of Umar radiallahu anh are there. The likes of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anh are there. The likes of Usman bin Affan radiallahu anh are there. But when it came to doing da'wah in Medina, when it came to doing da'wah in Yathrib, who did he send? A youngster. Musab bin Umair radiallahu anh. He put him up there. Gave him that platform. Musab radiallahu anh, you can do this. Now imagine the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam telling you can do it. What more do you need? So sometimes that child, that youngster, is looking for a statement of encouragement and motivation, no matter who it comes from. As long as they get that statement, they just want to hear someone say it. Like they just want to hear that elder, that adult or that older person telling them, son, daughter, you or part of the community, youngster of the community, you can do this. And sometimes we need to start talking like that. As parents, we need to start like talking like that. As adults, we need to start talking more like that than their kids. And if you look at the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was always, all of you can do this. You're amazing. You're great. You're amazing. And he made every Sahaba radiallahu anhu ajma'in feel amazing about themselves. A boost of confidence. There's a powerful statement in the Quran, and it's a very simple translation, but it's very powerful. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the Prophet of Allah, the Habib of Allah, the Mahbub of Allah, the beloved of Allah, the greatest human being to ever set foot on this earth. The one who spoke and saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's commanded, not advised. He's commanded. وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. Seek the opinion of them. Who's them? Sahaba radiallahu anhu. Can you imagine how confident the Sahaba radiallahu anhu would feel? How positive the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked for my opinion? My opinion? Wow. Why would he want my opinion? He can just ask Allah, why does he want my opinion? Allah commanded him to ask for the opinion of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, which brings us to an important point. Parents, adults, do mashwara with the youngsters. Board members of masajid, ask the youngsters for their opinion. If they're sitting in the meeting, don't say he's just a kid, his opinion doesn't mean anything. No. Make him feel like he's part of the decision. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma is sitting in the company and with the ministers and the advisors, the councilmen, the council members of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattabi radiallahu anhu. And Umar radiallahu anhu, he has his council of people his mashwara team, you can say. And Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu is there. Some of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu could have said, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he's at the age of my own son. Why is he sitting in a meeting with me? And Umar radiallahu anhu said, okay, his knowledge of tafsir is the reason why I'm bringing it. So if you have a youngster, a youth from your community, that is, seems like he's becoming a leader, or he's close to becoming a leader, Bring that youngster in your meetings, in your board member meetings. Don't say, okay, kids don't need to know this. Don't kick them out. Let them hear the whole thing. If we taught our children finances at a young age, when they grew up, they wouldn't have any problems. When they, but we say, no, he's a kid, he doesn't need to know. He's not allowed to be a part of this discussion. No, if you want your children to become adults by the age of 14, 15, you need to treat them like adults by their 14, 15. If you wait till they're like married and they have kids and then they're finally doing things on their own, we are the cause. Parents are the cause of why children delay in becoming adults. We're the cause of it. We're the reason why. Parents are the reason why it takes longer for youngsters to become adults. You had Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, you could take care of like an entire family. You had youngsters taking care of families. Right? At a young age, at 14, 15, they were considered straight up adults. Like they could work, they could have a job, they could get married, they could do everything. At that young age. Because society allowed children to grow faster. If we keep uttering statements like he's still a kid, he's a youngster, he's not allowed to be a part of this meeting. Why is he here? Why is he giving his opinion? Why is she giving her opinion? We're part of the problem. So parents, if the Prophet of Allah sallallahu is told to seek the advice, do mashwara with the Sahaba, then we as parents have to do mashwara with our own children. Some simple things. I'm thinking the family should go on a vacation. Child only 13, 14. I'm thinking about the family should go on a vacation. What's your opinion? Dad, I think it's a good idea. Where should we go? Okay, we want to go here. Son, that's a good idea, but it might be hard to go there. Don't just say it would be hard to go there. Why will it be hard to go there? Financially, it's not possible. It might not be good for your sister. It might not be good for your other brother. Whatever the reason. But by making by empowering that child and making that child feel like they were a part of the decision, I think that can go a long way in giving confidence to a child from young age. That my father is seeking my opinion, that means he eventually wants me to lead. Eventually, to a son can go to the dad and be like, "Dad, I think we should go on vacation. I think this is how we'll handle the finances. This is how we'll handle rent a car. This is how we'll handle the flight. Dad, let's make it happen." Wouldn't a parent feel happy, or society feel happy, or the community feel happy, or the board members feel happy that a youngster is leading the community and bringing you to the masjid?
I mean, you have to let them make decisions, and even if they make a wrong decision, you have to be positive about it and get the wisdom out of it. And I don't remember the Sahabi's name, but when they went for a battle, the Prophet ﷺ didn't go in this one. In the Jamaat, there was Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Umar, and Hazrat Usman radiallahu anhum, and he made a young Sahaba. I don't remember his name. He was the Amir of the Jamaat. Do you remember the Sahaba's name? I don't
His
remember.
name was Osama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu. And this is before the Prophet ﷺ passed away. And Osama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu became the Amir. And in that army would be the likes of Umar radiallahu anhu and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. And because it was close to the demise of the Prophet ﷺ, some of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they were saying things along the lines of, saying, why is Osama radiallahu anhu the Amir? So the Prophet ﷺ actually got up and spoke to the Sahaba, and he said to the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, if you don't like my nomination of Osama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu, then that means you are not happy with my nomination of his father Zayd ibn Harisa radiallahu anhu. And Osama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu became the Amir. And when the Prophet ﷺ left, Umar radiallahu anhu told Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, now you should be the Amir. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, that when the Amir was appointed by the Prophet ﷺ. So eventually Umar radiallahu anhu said, no, now you're the Amir, you're the commander, the leader of the faithful, the Khalifa to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you're the Khalifa of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you don't go to the battle, but follow the army a little bit, let the army go, and then you come back to your station. And that is what Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu ended up doing. So that Sahaba's name was Osama bin Zayd radiallahu ta'ala.
Hazrat Osama, during the course of that, the whole journey, there was a point where some of the Sahaba, they put on a fire, and he made them put it out. And then there was another incident where he had to take ghusl, and he made them put on a fire so they could warm up the water. And when they came back, I remember from the seerah that the Sahaba, they went to the Prophet ﷺ, and they did, they lodged a complaint that why did he do this? It was so cold. And why did he do this for himself and needed the water? So he said to the Prophet ﷺ that when they put on the fire, we were at a position where the enemy could have seen us, and it would have compromised our situation. And when I needed the water, it was so cold that if I would have taken a bath with the cold water, I would have gotten sick and possibly died. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't just make a snap judgment, he let him make his decisions, come back. When the complaint was lodged, he brought him in, he listened to his proofs, and he said his proofs are legitimate. So this teaches us that, that when you give a kid a chance, even if they do something maybe the other people didn't like or you didn't like it, if you let them prove their wisdom, what was behind it, it may be even wiser than what you're thinking.
I agree. And that's a good point that you brought up too. That if a child does something wrong, adults also have to say to themselves, we made similar mistakes.
Yeah.
How would we have liked it for our parents and our adults to have handled and treated us when we made the same mistake? We all make mistakes. No one's sitting here and saying we don't make mistakes. So if the child made a mistake, how can you teach that child to learn from his or her mistakes? And I think that's an important. I think that's a good, very good point that you brought up. But yeah, parents have to play a role of teaching someone from their mistakes. And I think the best teacher is experience, as we know, and I think without failures, there's no success.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
let the child fail. Let the child fail. Let the child learn from his mistakes, and that will help him go a long way. Because you win some, you lose some. If you're always winning, then you're not going to learn, because you're eventually going to lose. When you lose, it's going to really hit. So I think when a child makes a mistake, we listen to that child. Why did you make a mistake? Okay, how are you going to refrain from it in the future? And I will say this too, to my staff too, that we're always looking for opportunities to punish our students and children when they don't do their task and their lessons. But how many of us think about rewarding our students for the tasks and lessons they completed? So when the child does something wrong, we quickly point it out. When the child does good, we don't look at that. I think there's a video that went viral on Facebook and all these social medias, and I think the teacher on the board, wrote down numbers. And for example, if we were to say, wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And you skip 5.
Yeah.
And all the students are laughing. And the teacher's like, and they're like, and the teacher asked, why are you laughing? And the student said, because you forgot 5. So the teacher said, that's what I was trying to teach you. All you guys only looked at my mistake. You didn't look at the things I did right. I did 1, 2, 3, 4 right. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 was correct. But the only thing your eyes saw was the mistake that I made. So parents, we only point out the mistakes. But did you point out the things that he actually did good in, or she did good in? Why are you only bringing up the mistakes? No. Your child did do good things. Remind them of the good things they did too, and not just focus on, the wrong things. So if you look at the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever something bad or wrong would happen, he would always spread positivity. It's okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you. It's okay. Another way will come out. Maz radiallahu anhu comes, Ya Rasulullah, zanaytu, I committed zina. No, Maz, maybe you did something else. No, be positive. No. Look for the goodness in this. Ya Rasulullah, it's the battle of Badr, 313 verse 1000. It's okay. It is said, according to the muhaddiseen and the people who study Shira, that the malaika that were there in the battle of Badr did not actually participate in the battle. They were just there for a boost of confidence. They weren't actually participating. They were giving them that confidence. Look, you have our backing. You go and fight yourselves. But if you need us, we're here. That's all the child needs to hear. You go do this yourself, but if you need us, we're here. Like the malaika were doing for the Badri Sahabas and the Sahabas that participated in the Battle of Badr.
Yeah. So like I asked earlier, and inshallah this is, probably the last topic we'll cover, inshallah, and then we'll wrap it up. In the matters of deen, in the matters of actions, a'mal, instead of being negative, and if we look at the fadail, there's so many fadail, the positivities. How can we encourage our children, and we keep, and I'm saying parents and you're saying parents, but overall the elders or the adults, how can we encourage our youngsters to participate more in a'mal or in the deeds in a positive manner, and with positive reinforcement, rather than being negative about it. Like, pray the salah and don't tell them you're going to end up in Jahannam if you don't pray. How to positively reinforce them, how to positively get them to read more Quran, do all of these good deeds, how to positively get them to come to the masjid, instead of being like, if you don't go to the masjid, you're going to end up, losing your deen.
So there's many methods, and it doesn't have to do with maybe giving them confidence in this matter, but it's more of how we approach the child. So yes, you're right. Don't go to them and tell them they're going to go to Jahannam. Go to them, get them to the masjid somehow. See, alhamdulillah, by nature we're Muslims.
Yeah.
Every child is born on fitrah. By nature we're Muslims. Every person is a Muslim by nature. So if they're at the masjid, whether it's to play basketball, whether it's to just to hang out with friends, adhan is called, most likely they're going to come inside and pray. We have to bring them to the masjid. How do we bring them to the masjid? Empower them, entitle them, give them a title, give them a respect. Okay, I want you to lead the youth group, not me. You're 15, 16, you lead. Child will say, I'm only 15, 16. No. You're a 15-year-old, you're an adult, you can lead the youth group. You bring the youth here. Let me know how you want to do it. And as long as the thing that they request is permissible, they're not asking for some haram thing, watching movies or having a concert or something, and I'll straight up say, watching movies and concert is not a way to bring them to the masjid. So find a way for that 15, 16-year-old to come up with an idea of how are you going to bring your friends to the masjid. Because the masjid is something that most parents will allow their children to go to. It's the best place for that age, at least before they can drive, to come to the masjid. Now ask that 15, 16-year-old, maybe even 17, 18. You put it together. What do you want to do? Whatever you want to do. If you don't want to hear a single nasiha, single advice, the child tells the board members, all we're going to have is a barbecue youth night. No bayan, no lecture. We're going to be at the masjid. We're going to eat a barbecue. When it's salah time, we're going to pray. When we're done with the barbecue, we're going to go home. Alhamdulillah, they came to the masjid. When we keep bringing them to the masjid, and I'll tell you, I've done this twice with 2 different masjids. All I did was invite people over for basketball. That's all I did. Nothing else. No bayan, no lecture. But when azan for Asr was called, we're going inside for Asr. No bayan after Asr. No lecture. No ta'lim. Nothing. Until after 4 to 5 weeks, one from the youth group comes to me, a youngster, and says, you're a scholar, you're a mufti, you're here, we want to benefit from you. Can you give us a lecture? Every single Sunday. I'm like, I know, I just like to chill with you guys, why don't you ask questions, whatever, but it's totally up to you guys. You guys tell me what you want to talk about. Completely left it up to them. Every Sunday we would meet. Breakfast would be provided. We would play our basketball. They would bring up their own conversation. I would never prepare a lecture, never prepare a topic. They would come and they would ask me whatever questions they wanted to. We as masjid leaders must find a way to bring our youngsters to the masjid and then give them a part of the decision making. We have to do that. So ask them, instead of us making the decision, ask them what will get you to come to the masjid for salah. Ask them. Yeah. Instead of us discussing it, what do you think we should do? Whatever that youngster advises, like I said, as long as it's not haram, not something that's sinful, bismillah, let's make it happen. And then let them do what they want. They want to do a barbecue? They ask us to cook the barbecue and barbecue, we'll do it. If they want to barbecue themselves, what do you want us to buy? Propane, wood, fire, whatever. We'll purchase everything for you. You guys do whatever you want. This is totally up to you. And I think once we do that, we empower the child, and that youngster will take the task of calling everyone to the masjid. Because now they're willingly going to come to the masjid because they enjoy meeting up with their friends. Maybe the intention isn't correct. They want to meet their friend. But at the end of the day, they're praying. When they're praying, then Allah will find a way to handle everything else.
I mean, you got to create that environment. Exactly. And right now we're living in the society, especially in the United States. Obviously, both of us, we live in the South. We know how it is. We both dealt with masjids and different youth organizations and stuff like that for almost the entirety of our lives. The one thing we notice is, or we know now, is it's not always about lectures. It's not always about all these things, because you have to have people in coming through the door regularly to be able to give them a lecture. If they just come one time and you sit them down and you give them a 1 hour lecture, you may not see them again for another 6 months. So it's not always about the talks and lectures. You got to get them regularly coming to the masjid,
Exactly.
feel comfortable. And then if they ask you, give them a lecture, and you only give them what they want, not more than what they want. Because if you do more than what they want or what they ask for, you're going to drive them off again. And that's just the mentality and the way society is now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So is there any parting nasiha for us? I know the complete talk has been nasiha. Any parting nasiha for us, for masjids, for board members, for in general, everybody?
I think the last point that we mentioned, that just talking to the youth, empowering them, making them feel that, giving them the confidence that they can do this, even if they fail. Let's say the youth gets excited, wants to do the event. We have to mentally prepare them. Look, this event might have 5 people show up. It's okay. We gotta tell them it's okay. And the child will say, I put so much effort on it. It's okay. I remember my teacher, after one event we did a bayan and Nazm competition, and me and one of my colleagues, we put it together. We were exhausted, and after the event we just wanted to sleep. And our beloved teacher Sheikh Ibrahim, he made a very beautiful statement that just gave you a boost of confidence. And he said the verse, "Qul i'malu, i'malu." O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, say to them, "I'malu." Tell them to work. Tell them to keep working. فَسَيَرَ اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Soon Allah will show the world your actions. Soon the Prophet ﷺ will see your efforts, and the believers will see your efforts. So immediate success and satisfaction is not something we should be. Slow, gradual process. So we tell the youngster, you put in your best effort. First time you get 5, it's okay. Next time you might get 5 again. But you helped 5. You brought 5 people to the masjid. That's not a small thing.
Yeah.
After that, 10, 15, 20. And then, that's the best. When you have like 50, and now you have these 50 youngsters coming to the masjid, and it's because of you. And now these youngsters are telling you how to run the youth group. And in those moments, I tell that youngster, just smile. Because they don't know all the groundwork you did to get here. The only one that knows is Allah. And sometimes that's the most beautiful thing. No one needs to know the groundwork. Allah knows that's good enough. Ya Allah, you're aware. Now there's 50, and mashallah, they think they can do everything. Now they have 50 youth. So our job is simply i'malu. Just work. Just try your best. That's it. Nothing else. Allah didn't ask for anything else. i'malu. فَسَيَرَ اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ.
And mashallah, your teacher Maulana Ibrahim Sahib is such a positive guy. You remember I shared with you when he came here last year. And also on the point of 5, Haji Abdul Wahab Sahib rahmatullah alayh, it's something close. He said at one time, he told everybody to give da'wah to 5 people. At that point in time, there were about 6 billion people on earth. He said if each one of us, we give da'wah to 5 people, eventually we'll convert everybody over to Islam. That was the nasih of Haji Sahib. So 5 people is good enough. But Maulana Ibrahim Sahib, when he came here, I was talking with him about a problem which, not personally I was facing, but I was facing with the community, younger Muslims, where they're struggling, they're ending up in bars and clubs and places like this where they shouldn't be. And they're coming to me and telling me that we go to these places. Some are like, well, it's a good place to go, that's why we go there. Other are like, we don't want to go there, but we end up there. And Maulana Ibrahim Sahib, Sheikh Ibrahim Sahib, he was very positive in this aspect. He's like, look, don't break off your link with them. Continue to be nice to them. Continue to talk with them. He's like, if we break off our link from them, or if we're awful to them or mean to them, they're going to go further away from us. We have to be positive with them and bring them closer to us. So at the end of the day, are you, a force of positivity where you drive people to yourself? Are you a force of negativity where you're repelling people from yourself? And Maulana Ibrahim, in very simple terms, that's what he said. And, he's always, mashallah, positive. So, Jazakallah khair, Mufti Saab. Jazakallah khair for your time. I know you were sick today. You still give us the time. I really appreciate that. So, if you can end us off with the dua, inshallah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم لك الحمد كله ولك الشكر كله وإليك يرجع الأمر كله. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة ونعوذ بك من عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر المستعاذ منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. جزاك الله خير مفتي.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. بارك الله فيك.